Part 68. Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Yunzhong Mu Shui. Chapter 671. Are these worlds real? Lu Yu didn't dare to think about it. His only hope now is. This time the transmission is to the human emperor. Otherwise, if it is really teleported to a strange world. Lu Yu stopped thinking about it. Time was still passing by. In fact, Lu Yu had no idea how long it had been. The brain in his body was damaged the moment he entered the teleportation. There was no reference at all, just one completely different scene after another. Maybe it was the primitive world one moment, and the technological era the next moment. Thinking of this, Lu Yu was suddenly stunned. Etc. Could this be a world that really existed in the universe? Lu Yu looked to the side in shock. What he is experiencing now is an era of dynasty. An emperor wearing a dragon robe stood on the emperor's stage, puffing up his sleeves and shouting. And below, millions of black armored soldiers were densely packed, roaring at the same time. Lu Yu was filled with doubts. If this is really a replay of some kind of universe history, then, isn't it that I am traveling through time instead of space? Lu Yu became more and more hesitant in his heart. He was not sure whether he was traveling through time or space. If it were time, then these would probably have really existed in the universe. The universe is vast and time is long. Lu Yu didn't feel too confused after these births. This is true even if a civilization that cultivates immortals is born. Who knows what else existed before the first heaven, that is, the first era. Too ancient to be traced. But what if this is not time travel, but space travel? What I saw was words from the real world one after another. Then Lu Yu was even more horrified. Human Emperor, what do you want to do? While he was thinking in his heart, suddenly, the front became dark. A dead breath spread out. Black fog. Lu Yu immediately became alert and looked around. Everything that comes into view is black mist. It seemed to be a land of death, with a gloomy sky and strange creatures one after another, kneeling on the ground. Among them, even the strange giant, Lu Yu, actually saw more than a dozen. This shocked him to his heart. What shocked him even more was what was ahead. A throne billions of feet tall, made of bones, fell into the sky. A black figure sat among them. It seems to be sleeping, with huge black chains firmly trapping it on the bone throne. But even so, that kind of aura still spreads out. It seems to be crushing everything. Just sitting there makes people afraid to look directly. The most important thing is, Lu Yu saw that black mist was spreading out from its body. Below, endless weird creatures and even weird giants are kneeling. His eyes were in awe, and his mouth was whispering. It was as if they were offering sacrifices while absorbing the black mist emanating from the dark beings. The source of the strangeness. Lu Yu had an idea in his heart that made him tremble. It was at this moment that the creature that was sitting on the bone throne, like a dead creature, suddenly opened its eyes and looked at Lu Yu. Boom! Black mist erupted from it, and the terrifying energy was twisting everything. End world creatures. The moment it said these words, Lu Yu spit out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were a little horrified. How is this possible? Regardless of whether he is teleporting in time or space. It is quite far away from this so-called strange source. Either time or space. How could he be so far away and still hurt himself? Before Lu Yu could think about it, the creature on the bone throne moved. It tried to step down, but the chains that restrained it firmly trapped it on the throne, unable to move. Fire jumped out of those eyes that were deeper than the darkness. Oh, is there someone there to guide you? Struggle is useless, you can't reach the end. The moment the sound appeared, things around Lu Yu began to tremble. The endless law seemed to change at this moment, and the light tried to drive Lu Yu forward. But it had no effect at all. In an instant, the light broke. Lu Yu also spit out a mouthful of blood and passed out. At the last glance, he clearly saw the creature on the bone throne looking at him with a sneer. Grass. It's over. This was Lu Yu's last thought before he passed out. Chapter 0508 This monkey is so weird, it's a loser. Grandpa, this man is so strange. Why does he have a tail, and it's still in the front? Kid, you don't understand this. This should be a monkey, but I don't know why the tail is in front. That's it, Grandpa, let me touch his tail. A burst of conversation woke up Lu Yu's groggy consciousness. He struggled to open his eyes and saw a little girl and an old man squatting in front of him. At this moment, the two of them looked at him in shock. Huh? Why do these two people look opposite each other? Lu Yu was stunned for a moment, and the next moment the little girl stared at him blankly. Grandpa, the monkey is awake. Lu Yu. Before he could think about anything, Lu Yu fell from the tree in an instant. Grandpa. There happened to be a thorn on the ground, which pierced Lu Yu's buttocks. Suddenly, blood flowed. Touching his buttocks, Lu Yu frowned and looked at the little girl and the old man in front of him. Hello, Lu Yu asked tentatively. The little girl was immediately scared and hid behind the old man. Grandpa, this monkey can talk. Don't be afraid, Grandpa is here. Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Yunzhong Mu Shui. Chapter 672. The old man also looked a little flustered and pointed a hatchet at Lu Yu. Beasts, don't even think about harming our grandfather and grandson. Lu Yu. I'm so awesome. No, old man, do you think I look like a monkey? Humph. Even if you can speak human language, you can't hide your tail. The old man looked under Lu Yu. Lu Yu glanced at it and fell silent. He fell into a tree for no apparent reason, and his pants were torn. Ahem, let me change some pants. With that said, Lu Yu was about to open his space wrist. However, the space wrist is missing. Sorry. System, are there any clothes in the system space? Some host. The Flame Lord's outerwear, Glory Collection, Flame Lord's clothing inner lining, Glory Collection, Flame Lord's clothing underwear, Glory Collection, Yuan Kong's outerwear, Glory Collection. In an instant, several options appeared in the system. Lu Yu fell silent. It turned out that without even realizing it, I had accumulated so many clothes. Now, I face a difficult choice. Come, take Yanzu's underwear. Lu Yu gritted his teeth. I have no choice but to endure it. In an instant, a brand new pair of underwear appeared in Lu Yu's hand, which made Lu Yu sigh in relief. He was afraid that it was the original flavor. Putting on his underwear, he looked at the old man. Do I look like a human being to you now? Humph. 1/3 of the human appearance has not been learned, and the other half of the monster's power is lifelike. You are a monster. The old man glanced at Lu Yu and finally came to this conclusion. Lu Yu. He suddenly didn't want to communicate with the two people in front of him. Let's go, I won't act with you anymore. As soon as Lu Yu moved his legs, his vision went dark and he fainted. Grass. Internal bleeding. Consciousness fell into drowsiness again. Two voices, one old and one young, rang in his ears. Grandpa, this monkey fainted, what should I do? This monkey can speak human language and will soon become a monster. I'll keep it well later. The monkey's tail should be sold for a good price. I'll buy you some candied haws. Ah! Grandpa is the best. I don't know how much time passed before Lu Yu woke up again. What catches the eye is a piece of thatch above the head. Looking sideways, Lu Yu was a little confused. Where is this? Just as he was about to get up, Lu Yu saw the cuffs that locked his hands and feet. Grass. Does that old guy really think of himself as a beast? Lu Yu immediately became angry and his powers began to work. In an instant, most of the injuries in his body healed. With a strong effort, sparks burst out from the shackles, and he was instantly freed. Lu Yu got up from the bed, moved his body, and looked around. What you see is a thatched house, everything is in tatters. Lu Yu went outside, and as soon as he went out, he saw the little girl. The little girl was holding a juicy cabbage in her hand. When Lu Yu came out, she was so frightened that the cabbage dropped to the ground. "Grandpa, that monkey ran out." "The monkey is out." The old man rushed in, holding a hatchet and pointing it at Lu Yu. "You." Before he finished speaking, Lu Yu ducked behind him. The next moment, Lu Yu snatched the hatchet and threw it on the ground. "Okay, stop making trouble, I'm just a human being." You. The old man was even more shocked when he saw this scene, and knelt down the next moment. "My lord, the demon fairy, I am blind to the sight of Mount Tai. Please don't hurt my granddaughter." Looking at the old man kneeling on the ground shaking like something, Lu Yu was confused again. "What are you playing again?" "No, if you have something to say, just say it, okay?" Lu Yu frowned. Seeing this, the old man raised his head with difficulty and glanced at Lu Yu. Are you not a fairy?" "Lu Yu." He was completely speechless. Lu Yu ignored the old man and turned around to leave. But before he went far, he heard the old man's words. "Demon Immortal, the government has recently invited immortal masters to go down the mountain to catch demons. Don't let it be taken away from you." Lu Yu. When he heard what the old man said, he became more and more confused. What did the old man say? Looking around, Lu Yu fell into deep thought. By the way, where are you now? In the end, Lu Yu was injured by the being sitting on the bone throne, and Lu Yu didn't know anything anymore. Wrong. Etc. Lu Yu suddenly thought of what the old man said. Fairy. Immortal master? Digging. Isn't this the original universe? Lu Yu panicked immediately. System, where am I now? The location information is confusing and unclear. The system's words made Lu Yu's heart instantly feel cold. Looking back, Lu Yu found the old man again. "What is the name of this world?" Lu Yu immediately asked. But the old man's eyes were a little confused. "Yao Xian, this is Tianyang County, Zhou Daifo of the Dexuan dynasty." Lu Yu. What Dexuan dynasty? Did I fall to a certain planet in the original universe? It's also possible. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS level talents at the beginning. Author, Yun Zhong Mu Shui. Chapter 673. Lu Yu thought so and felt relieved. If it were this simple. Fly up, fly into space, everything will be okay. Thinking so, Lu Yu immediately headed for the sky in the awe-inspiring eyes of the old man. As Lu Yu's speed continued to increase, everything below him became smaller and smaller. This gave Lu Yu confidence. It seems that it is the same as what he thought. However, before Lu Yu could really feel relieved, the next moment, he suddenly felt that he was hit by an invisible big hand, and the whole person flew backwards. What the hell is going on? Lu Yu's body fell down out of control and hit the ground hard. Puff. After falling from such a high position, even Lu Yu's physique couldn't help spitting out blood. All over his body, his internal organs seemed to be displaced. After using his supernatural power to repair his injuries with difficulty, Lu Yu climbed out of the pit. Looking at a bird in the distance that tilted its head and looked at him, he looked at the sky again. Lu Yu slumped to the ground. Damn it! Really, I've arrived in another world. Chapter 0509, Opportunity to Return, Yungzia Sect. Immediately, Lu Yu was disheartened. I've arrived in another world. I'm afraid I've fallen into one of the many worlds I saw along the way. According to previous speculation, I'm either traveling through time or through space. Traveling through space is fine, at least there's a chance to go back. The worst case is that it's a little far away. If it's time, that's really troublesome. No matter where time is placed, it's the most mysterious thing. It can't be seen or touched, but it really exists. What should I do now? Lu Yu was in doubt. He thought of the existence sitting on the bone throne he had seen before. I'm afraid it did this on purpose. It just didn't want him to go on smoothly. According to the current situation, if I don't encounter that thing, I'm afraid that the world I'm going to is the world where the human emperor is. Damn. System, is there a way for me to leave here? Ding. The system can consume system energy to provide the host with a chance to return, but the host must spend 3,000 copy points. 3,000 copy points? Lu Yu was dumbfounded. Since the last time he used up the copy points and free copy times, the system has not given him any tasks. Where did he get the copy points? Ding. The host is detected to be in trouble, and a special task is issued. Task name, Dynasty War. Task requirements, assist the Great Xian Dynasty where the host is located to win the final victory in the War of 5 Countries. Task reward, 3,000 copy points. The system voice sounded quickly, which made Lu Yu's eyes a little wet. Sure enough, the Emperor and other people are unreliable. The only one who truly loves himself is the system. System, I accept this task. After being moved for a while, Lu Yu hurriedly spoke. The next moment, the system voice sounded. Ding. The task is accepted successfully, I wish the host a smooth completion of the task. These words made Lu Yu relax. Well, now what needs to be done is clear. Although his space travel was interrupted halfway because of that weird source. But fortunately, the system is still there. There is still a chance. I have to hurry up to complete the task and continue to return to the previous established route. If that person is really the human emperor, the other party asked him to go over, there must be something important. And the real universe may not be able to hold on for too long. I must seize every moment. Thinking of this, Lu Yu returned to the old man again. Master Demon Fairy, why are you back again? Looking at the old man, Lu Yu's expression did not change after hearing this. The most important thing now is to get enough information. In fact, Lu Yu has already made some judgments in his heart. This world is probably not an ordinary world. It is almost exactly the same as Lu Yu thought. An hour later, he digested the information in a daze. The dynasty he is in now is called the Dachuan dynasty. There are several other dynasties around. And the county he is in is Tianyang County, one of the 36 counties of the Dachuan dynasty. Further down is Hudao Prefecture. And these are not the most important. The key is that this world is a humming world of immortal cultivation. At least from Lu Yu's perspective, this is indeed a world of immortal cultivation. It's just that, it seems that the upper limit of the force value is not high. Lu Yu asked the old man, and the other party said. The most powerful immortal master I have ever heard of can lift a mountain with one hand. This made Lu Yu feel a little relieved, which was the only good news. I am afraid that it would be really troublesome to go to the immortal world similar to the prehistoric world. 3,000 worlds, one move will cause the yin and yang to reverse and the world to be destroyed. Then I don't have to think about what to do, just lie down and wait for death. And there is another piece of information that makes Lu Yu a little happier. There is a sect in Zhou. There are so-called immortal masters in the sect. Lu Yu's plan is very simple. Go to the door, find these immortal masters, and understand the situation. In that case, thank you very much. Lu Yu said, nodded, said goodbye to the old man and the little girl, and went in a certain direction according to the information they gave. On the way, Lu Yu was a little confused. Why did he still not feel the difference between this world and his own world after traveling to another world? Even Lu Yu could feel it. The star source power of this world seems to be more intense than the star source power of the universe where he originally lived. Various laws did not restrain him at all. After testing the power, he still had the power of the forbidden domain of the Star Lord level. This shocked Lu Yu. In this case, even if he was not invincible in this world, he was at least a first-class strong man. Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Yunzhong Mu Shui. Chapter 674. The probability of completing the system task is greatly increased. In his excitement, Lu Yu had already run an unknown distance. A few minutes later, looking at a mountain in front of him, Lu Yu stopped. This should be it, right? Zhuayun Mountain, the location of the sect that the old man mentioned. Climbing the mountain, sure enough, not long after walking, Lu Yu saw a mountain gate. Yongzia sect. This should be here. After Lu Yu confirmed the information, he was about to go up the mountain when a man suddenly jumped down from a tree. The sect selection has ended, no one is allowed to enter. A teenager who looked only in his teens looked at Lu Yu. His eyes were a little puzzled. It was because Lu Yu's hairstyle and clothes were too strange. Lu Yu didn't care so much and said directly, "I want to see your sect leader." "Sorry, the sect leader is out of the sect for something." "Deputy sect leader." "Yongzia sect has no deputy sect leader." "Then the elders are okay." "The elders are out together." The young man answered Lu Yu indifferently. Lu Yu. He seriously suspected that this guy was playing a trick on him. Squinting his eyes, Lu Yu decided not to waste time. Not letting himself in, to put it bluntly, he just thinks he is ordinary. "Well, I will force you out." Lu Yu smiled. He was backing away. Seeing this, the young man shook his head and prepared to go back to the tree. These people, they want to sneak into the mountain gate for no reason. How can it be so simple? However, before he could climb the tree, Lu Yu suddenly stepped down. Boom! The whole mountain shook violently. Lu Yu is a forbidden creature at the Star Master level. In the original definition of the universe, it is an existence that has the ability to destroy a planet. At present, the strength in this world has not been weakened. If 1 foot lands on the mountain, how powerful is that? The whole mountain is shaking. The huge rocks rolled down and the mountain cracked. The mountain gate collapsed with a loud bang. This made the young man dumbfounded instantly. You. He was at a loss. At this moment, on the mountain, there was also chaos. A woman suddenly appeared. Who trespassed into my Yongzia sect? Chapter 0510. You are here to cause trouble, the powerful Lu Yu. Who trespassed into my Yongzia sect? A woman in green clothes appeared in front of Lu Yu at some point. Looking at Lu Yu, her face was angry. Who are you? Why trespassed into my Yongzia sect? Seeing this woman, Lu Yu was stunned for 2 seconds. Why, it feels a little familiar. Forget it, don't worry about it. After straightening his face, Lu Yu smiled. I'm Lu Yu, are you the leader of Yongzia sect? Whether I am the leader or not is not the point. The point is that you destroyed my Yongzia sect without authorization. What's the reason for this? The woman asked Lu Yu in return, her face not looking very good. Lu Yu raised his eyebrows when he heard this. It seems that he is not easy to talk to. Then he won't talk to him properly. What do you think is the reason, fairy? Of course, follow the rules. What rules? Lu Yu looked curious. The woman frowned when she heard this. Who are you? She was simply puzzled. The strength of the cultivator in front of her must be not low. The question is, why did he come to Yongzia sect to cause trouble? He didn't remember that Yongzia sect had offended a cultivator named Lu Yu. Lu Yu was also confused. He just wanted to inquire about the news. Is it so difficult? Fairy, you may have misunderstood what I meant, Lu Yu explained. The woman snorted coldly. So what are you doing here? I just want to ask your sect for advice. To ask for advice, do you have to tear down my sect's mountain gate? The woman frowned more and more. It seems that the man named Lu Yu in front of her is really here to cause trouble. To ask for advice? She doesn't believe this. Lu Yu couldn't help but grit his teeth when he heard it. What a joke. Is it so difficult for people in this world to communicate? Forcing a smile, Lu Yu had to say. Sorry, this is to attract your attention. To attract our attention, do you have to tear down my mountain gate? The woman got even angrier when she heard it. Lu Yu felt like he was going to collapse. If I don't tear down your mountain gate, what else can I do? Your disciples won't let me in, what can I do? Then what do you think should be done, Fairy? Lu Yu took a deep breath and said. The woman looked him up and down when she heard it. Compensate for the loss of my Yongzia sect, and this matter will be over. Lu Yu. What can I compensate you with? You lost your own space wrist, and even wear Master Yan's underwear. What should I compensate you with? Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Yun Zhonmu Shui. Chapter 675. Fairy, I'll stay with you for one night, okay, Lu Yu said seriously. In order to get the information, he decided to sacrifice himself. When the woman heard this, she was stunned. And next to her, the mountain guarding disciple was also stunned. How dare you tease Master Kingxia? The mountain guarding disciple was shocked. Lu Yu. Why did I tease again? I've made a big sacrifice, okay. Do you know how many girls in the original universe fantasize about sleeping with me? Lu Yu's Menghan medicine was even made. Before Lu Yu could think of an explanation, the woman was furious. You came here to find trouble on purpose. As she said that, she slapped Lu Yu with a palm. Lu Yu didn't dodge in an instant, and the palm landed firmly on him. Instantly, Lu Yu closed his eyes. Damn. I'm going to get hurt again. Thinking so in his heart. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Half a minute passed, and Lu Yu opened his eyes with a blank face. Are you tickling me? He looked at the white palm of the woman patting his chest and recalled it. The strength of that palm just now was just right. Not too light or too heavy, it melted the old blood that had accumulated in his chest before. The woman looked at her palm and was also unbelievable. This. How is this possible? I used all my strength to hit her, but the other party didn't react? A powerful master. Instantly, the woman retreated and looked at Lu Yu in shock. Lu Yu. A powerful master, what the hell? Don't tell me that this is your full strength palm. Lu Yu was shocked. If this is really her full strength palm, then I'm afraid that the martial arts value of this world is lower than I imagined. With doubt in his heart, Lu Yu looked at the woman. Another time. As he said, he turned his back. It's a little itchy at the back. The woman. Gritting her teeth, she bent slightly towards Lu Yu. Kingxia was blind before and misunderstood the senior. Please forgive me. She saw through it. The man named Lu Yu in front of her was definitely not an ordinary person. At least he was a master of the spiritual realm. But the problem was, the only master of the spiritual realm in the Great Qian dynasty was the one in the palace. How could there be another one? Could it be from another dynasty? Kingxia felt complicated, but she could only bow her head for now. When faced with such an existence, the life and death of her small Yongzia sect would depend on the other party's thoughts. Seeing the woman's panic, Lu Yu was somewhat certain of his thoughts. I'm afraid that the martial arts value in this world is really a bit low. Good news. Delighted in his heart, Lu Yu was calm on the surface. It's okay. I just want to ask you a question. Senior, please go up the mountain and talk. The woman bowed her head respectfully. When she bowed her head, Lu Yu saw something he shouldn't have seen. A ray of sky, a ray of sky. Suppressing his excitement, Lu Yu calmly went up the mountain, leaving only the mountain guarding disciples standing there in a daze. Who is this person? On the mountain. After a while, Lu Yu sat in his seat and carefully digested the news he had just heard. This is indeed a world of immortal cultivation. It's just that the martial arts value is far less than he imagined. The strong men who moved mountains and expanded the sea did exist, but that was a long time ago. So far, they have almost disappeared. According to the level division, the levels of this world are Qi training, foundation building, Dan formation, spiritual transformation, spiritual communication, and demigod. There is nothing above. Among them, the spiritual communication strongmen are already the top existences at present, and they are extremely rare. Demigod, that has long become a legend. But what surprised Lu Yu was, according to their strength division, he must be before the demigod, or even before the demigod. Wow! Invincible start. Lu Yu was relieved immediately. Well, after saying this, let's talk about what kind of world this is. Lu Yu looked at Kingxia next to him. Kingxia also looked puzzled. Why did the senior who is a master of the divine ask so many of her disciples who practice Qigong know something? But since Lu Yu asked, she could only answer. To reply to the senior, there are currently 5 dynasties in the Tianling continent, namely the Great Qian Dynasty, the Great Yuan Dynasty, the Great Dream Dynasty, and the Great Yan and the Great Yu Dynasty. Kingxia replied. Hearing this, Lu Yu fell into deep thought. Are these the 5 dynasties? Which of the 5 dynasties is the strongest now? Senior, the Great Yan Dynasty should be the strongest dynasty at present, with a total of 3 masters of the divine sitting in charge. The second is the Great Yu, the Great Yuan, the Great Dream, and the Great Qian Dynasty at the end of our dynasty. As for our Great Qian Dynasty, I'm afraid it will soon cease to exist. Chapter 0511 The new emperor ascends the throne, above the demigod. The Great Qian Dynasty will soon cease to exist. When Lu Yu heard this, he was immediately shocked. What do you mean? Senior, don't you know this? Kingxia's eyes were quite confused. How come this senior seems to know nothing? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Yun Zhonmu Shui. Chapter 676. Lu Yu coughed after hearing this. I'll just ask. Okay, Kingxia nodded. Even if she didn't understand, she didn't want to ask more questions, so she started to explain now. There was a rebellion in the palace some time ago. The emperor died, and a dozen princes were also beheaded. Only the youngest prince is still on the run. The new emperor will ascend the throne in a few days. After he ascends the throne, he will definitely change his country's title. Therefore, the Daxuan dynasty will naturally cease to exist by then. Kingxia said, but she found that Lu Yu's expression gradually changed. At this moment, Lu Yu was furious. Gan. At first, he thought this task was so easy and he could complete it in minutes. Now it seems that this is not so difficult. If I hadn't been smart and resourceful, I would have inquired about the news immediately instead of rushing to the palace. I'm afraid, something big is going to go wrong. If the country number is changed, the system tasks will definitely be scrapped. If the system doesn't send tasks to itself, or sends tasks with few copy points, wouldn't it be troublesome? Fine. Not bad. Lu Yu breathed a sigh of relief and looked at Kingxia. When will the new emperor ascend the throne? Just today. Digging. The system is still cheating. Lu Yu took a deep breath and looked at Kingxia. The palace, where is it? The imperial palace is in Dachuan Imperial City. Forget it, come with me to the palace. Lu Yu no longer had time to look for it by himself. If you get lost, just let me know. Before Kingxia could react, Lu Yu hugged her waist. Ready. Senior, you. Kingxia looked at Lu Yu's hand and was stunned for a moment. But she didn't have time to say anything more. The next moment, everything around him was blurred. Under Lu Yu's extreme speed, time and space seemed to be distorted. Looking at everything that was changing crazily around her, Kingxia was stunned. Such speed, Senior, are you a demigod? She was in disbelief. Lu Yu didn't know how to answer this. He doesn't know what his strength is. If you really come across it, you will have to fight to find out. It is not as systematic and difficult to measure. But Lu Yu suddenly thought of something. By the way, your name is Kingxia, right? Right. Do you have a sister named Zixia? Senior, how do you know? Guess, introduce me to him someday when you have time. Lu Yu only now remembered why it felt a bit familiar. Kingxia, Zixia. Wonderful. Lu Yu's mood improved. Under this situation, he asked Kingxia to guide him while he was on his way, and his speed was as fast as lightning. While Lu Yu was busy on his way. Thousands of miles away, in a majestic palace, tens of thousands of forbidden troops stood at the moment. A middle-aged man wearing a yellow robe slowly walked onto the emperor's terrace. Looking at the tens of thousands of forbidden troops and civil and military officials below, a smile appeared on his face. Kneel. A sharp eunuch's voice sounded, and in an instant, all tens of thousands of forbidden soldiers knelt down. There was silence all around. The middle-aged man watched all this with his hands behind his back, extremely satisfied. As I ascend the throne today, Dachuan is the old one, and a new dynasty has been established. I should change the name of my country to Dachuan. Before the middle-aged man could finish speaking, the next moment, a stream of light appeared on the horizon. In an instant, dozens of guards appeared from the side. Someone is attacking, protect us. Immediately, these dozens of guards rushed forward. But before the stream of light even got close, all the guards vomited blood and flew backwards. The middle-aged man's face changed slightly and he took 2 steps back. Where is Taoist Yinming? Your Majesty, you can rest assured that I am here. An old man appeared out of nowhere with a faint smile on his face. At this moment, the figure in the stream of light was also revealed. Senior, you are really fast. Kingxia looked shocked. Lu Yu's expression was a little strange. How do you listen to yourself? Forget it, I can't control that much anymore. Lu Yu looked forward. An old man was looking at him with narrowed eyes. Your Excellency, who is it? He ignored these words and looked directly at the middle-aged man behind him. Are you the guy who seeks power and usurps the throne? Stop talking nonsense, Taoist Yinming, kill him. The old man's eyes looked at Lu Yu again. Young man, I advise you to take care of yourself. Snap. Before he could finish his words, Lu Yu made a loud mouth. In an instant, the old man was whipped away. This scene shocked everyone. How could Taoist Yinming be said to be a powerful spiritual master, but he was just slapped away? Taoist Yinming himself was even more confused. Covering his face, his eyes became angry. You don't follow martial ethics and sneak up on me. Come on, take my lightning whip. With that said, he rushed towards Lu Yu. Snap! This time the sound was crisper. As quickly as he came, he will go. For a moment, Taoist Yinming sat there blankly, with a look of disbelief on his face. How is this possible? Not only him, but everyone else was stunned. The middle-aged man in yellow robe took 2 steps back. Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Yunzhong Mu Shui. Chapter 677. Who are you? He looked horrified. Yin Mingdao had spent a lot of money to invite a powerful master who was a master of the gods. There were not many top-level existences in the entire Tianling continent. How could he be defeated so easily? And Lu Yu really didn't want to answer this question. Just like that, he could find out the truth. The so-called master of the gods, Humming, is equivalent to the Tongxian in his own world. Lu Yu couldn't believe it, but in fact, it was true. This is a low-level martial arts world. It's an exaggeration to say that it is a world of immortal cultivation. With a faint smile on his face, Lu Yu looked at the middle-aged man. Okay, you can die now. As he said that, Lu Yu was about to kill him. The old man tried to stop him, but was punched through the chest by Lu Yu. You, above the demigod. Before he died, his eyes were horrified. Protect the emperor. Protect the emperor. The middle-aged man in a yellow robe was shocked and spoke immediately. Tens of thousands of imperial guards below immediately moved and came to the stage. But in response, Lu Yu just pinched the middle-aged man's throat. You, who are you? He could hardly speak, and couldn't figure it out. Which faction did Lu Yu belong to? Aren't all the other 4 dynasties supporting him? Could it be the Great Qian dynasty? But the Great Qian dynasty, the orthodoxy was completely destroyed. His thoughts stopped there. Lu Yu easily broke his neck, and then threw it on the ground. At this moment, there was a dead silence all around. No one expected that the new emperor would really die like this. The last moment was still in the coronation ceremony. The next moment, died directly. After doing all this, Lu Yu looked at everyone. If you don't want to die, all squat down with your heads in your hands. Chapter 0512, Quelling the Rebellion, I'm coming from above. If you don't want to die, squat down with your heads in your hands. After tens of thousands of imperial guards were silent for a second or two, they all surrendered and squatted down with their heads in their hands. The new emperor is dead, why are we still struggling? Including some smart guys, no one dared to have any ideas at this moment. There is no way, this young man is too cruel. Yin Mingdao was crippled in 3 moves, wouldn't ordinary people like us go to die? Seeing a large group of people squatting neatly, Lu Yu was satisfied. Fortunately. It's really time to come, otherwise it will be a mess. Next to Lu Yu, Qingxia was already dazed. She guessed that Lu Yu might be a powerful person, but she didn't expect that. Yin Mingdao, who is also a powerful person, is not Lu Yu's opponent at all. I wanted Lu Yu to be careful before. When she thought of this, Qingxia was more and more horrified. At the same time, she didn't quite understand. Why did Lu Yu do this? Qingxia, come here. Okay, senior, what's the matter? Qingxia bowed respectfully. She has seen that Lu Yu's strength is absolutely extraordinary. According to Taoist Yinming, Lu Yu is a demigod. The entire Tianling continent, a long-lost demigod. Qingxia said that she was not in awe, but that was all false. And Lu Yu didn't know that Qingxia was already madly imagining him. At this moment, he looked at so many rebels below and spoke lightly. Qingxia, didn't you say that there is a little prince on the run? Yes, senior. Where is he? Senior, I don't know. Qingxia looked embarrassed. This kind of news, I really don't know. Lu Yu heard that, but he was not too surprised. After all, Yongzia sect is just a force of Zhou Daifu, and the news that can be obtained is not too much. But it doesn't matter. Now that the whole Dachuan dynasty is wrong, and the entire rebel leader is gone, it would be easy to find that prince. After finding him, support him to ascend the throne, and then launch the War of the 5 countries. Sweep the other 4 countries, and then push the position of the great Qian dynasty up. Mission accomplished. Then run away and find the human emperor. Lu Yu's abacus was clacking. I can keep your lives for you, I only have one request. Does anyone know where the last little prince of the great Qian dynasty is? Lu Yu looked at everyone below and said. As soon as this was said, everyone's expressions became horrified. This immortal is really from the great Qian dynasty? The great Qian dynasty has such a powerful existence, why didn't it come out before? Everyone was puzzled, and no one said anything in the face of Lu Yu's question, which made Lu Yu unhappy. He waved his palm casually. Boom! In an instant, an unmanned hall collapsed. My patience is limited. If no one speaks, then all die together. As soon as this was said, a terrifying atmosphere enveloped everyone in an instant. The huge square was collapsing. A deep pit appeared on the ground. Everyone was even more shocked when they saw this scene. What kind of strength is this? Kingxia's beautiful eyes sparkled with a strange light. This kind of strength is definitely a demigod. Maybe even a legendary realm above demigod? And among the tens of thousands of imperial guards below. After Lu Yu put pressure on him, someone actually spoke up. Reporting to the immortal master, the Marquis of Qi had previously formed an army specifically to find the whereabouts of the little prince. They should have clues. A man wearing a general's armor stood up and bowed his head. Hearing this, Lu Yu spoke again. Who is the leader of which army? Immortal Master, me. Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Yunzhong Mu Shui. Chapter 678. Another general came out, kneeling on the ground and trembling. When he sat in this position before, he was still secretly happy. After all, if he found it and brought it back to the new emperor, there would be no shortage of benefits. But what he didn't expect was that the great Qian dynasty was now showing a trend of suppressing the rebellion. This is a headache. What if the little prince really comes back, won't he be the first to be killed? Lu Yu looked at the big man and asked. Have you found the person? Reporting to the immortal master, for the time being, there shouldn't be. No. Lu Yu was relieved when he heard the news. He was afraid that if he found the person and killed him directly, it would be a mess. Okay, pass my order now. All of you, go find someone. Whoever finds the little prince first and brings him to me will be rewarded. You, the 3 of you are now their leaders, and you are fully responsible for finding the little prince. If you find him, there will be a big reward. You can do whatever you want. I promise not to kill you. But if you don't find him, you know the consequences. After Lu Yu pointed at the 3 generals and gave them instructions, he turned around and left with Kingxia. After Lu Yu left, the 3 generals bit the bullet, divided the tens of thousands of imperial guards, and immediately led them out of the imperial city. None of them dared to delay, let alone run away after leaving the city. If this kind of existence wants to kill people, how can you escape? It's better to go find someone honestly, find him, and retire to the countryside with a reward. The movement of the imperial guards leaving the city was naturally not small, especially those troops outside the city. After receiving the news, they were all upside down. How is it possible? The new emperor clearly held a coronation ceremony in the imperial city, but now they say that the great Qian dynasty has suppressed the rebellion and the new emperor is dead. Many troops refused to obey orders, and the result was simple. After Lu Yu left the city, he just casually demonstrated, and all of them were shocked, and they were also sent to find the little prince. This commotion was not small, even the ordinary people in the imperial city knew about it, and the whole city was in turmoil for a while. As for these, Lu Yu didn't care at all. He had no interest in the power of these dynasties. What he had to do now was to find the little prince, sweep away the other 4 countries, and be done. This mission is really nerve-wracking. Lu Yu lay on the dragon chair, crossed his legs, squinted his eyes comfortably and waited for news. King Xia watched from the side, becoming more and more confused. This senior named Lu Yu, who is he? If the great Qian dynasty really had such a powerful cultivator, why was it destroyed? But if he wasn't a royal monk of the great Qian dynasty, why would he help the great Qian dynasty? From the other 4 countries? That's impossible. Senior, which country are you from? King Xia asked cautiously. Hearing this, Lu Yu squinted at her. Curious. I dare not. King Xia immediately lowered her head, her expression terrified. In fact, it's best not to say too much about this kind of thing, but she just couldn't help asking a question. Lu Yu didn't care. Come, press my head for me, and I'll tell you. Lu Yu smiled. King Xia was stunned when she heard this, and she walked over to Lu Yu and pressed it. Feeling the white little hand sliding on his head, Lu Yu was very satisfied. Recently, he really hasn't had a good life. Every day he is tense, fearing that an accident will destroy the entire universe. Now that King Xia pressed like this, Lu Yu suddenly felt tired. Senior, is the strength okay? King Xia said softly. Lu Yu heard this and hummed. Now I can tell you, I fell from above. Chapter 0513 This damn softness, Dian monk. I fell from above. This is the most reasonable explanation Lu Yu can give. He can indeed be regarded as falling from the sky. Whether it is from the surface meaning or the inner meaning. In the inner meaning, the world he originally lived in was definitely more advanced than this world. It is a real high-level martial arts world, where the strong can step on the stars and break the moon, and are almost omnipotent. And this world, is an ironclad low-level martial arts world. Lu Yu doesn't know how big the world map is. But the level of military power is indeed a bit low. He is a Star-Lord level, and he can be called a legendary existence. You can imagine it? As for why his strength was not affected, Lu Yu speculated. Well, it may be because of his identity. Double-crossing, any law constraints, are useless to him. It may even be because the laws of this world are lower than the laws of the original world, and the destructive power he can cause is greater. Lu Yu was thinking, but King Xia was stunned. Falling from the sky. Yes, Lu Yu came back to his senses and answered. King Xia was more and more surprised and couldn't help asking. Senior, is there another world in the sky? There should be, Lu Yu answered. At least, the universe he was in was also a big world. As for the other worlds he had seen before, Lu Yu was not sure. Can he enter those worlds? When King Xia heard Lu Yu's words, the strength of her massage hands involuntarily increased. No wonder, Senior is so powerful. King Xia had a look of sudden enlightenment on her face, and all her previous doubts were dispelled. No wonder why Senior. Lu Yu asked her those simplest questions. So, it fell from the sky. Then Senior, is there any difference between the world in the sky and here? King Xia couldn't help asking again. Lu Yu waved his hand after hearing this. Don't think about it, the world I'm in should be destroyed soon. Will it be destroyed? Yes, something is going to destroy the world I'm in. When Lu Yu said this, his face couldn't help but turn colder. King Xia smiled slightly when she saw this. Then Senior, you might as well stay in our world. Then forget it, someone is waiting for me, Lu Yu said. Someone is waiting for me to go back, and I can't hide here just because it's safe here. What's the difference between that and those self-proclaimed people? Escape blindly, there is no effect. Hearing Lu Yu's answer, Kingxia didn't say anything. The atmosphere gradually quieted down. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS level talents at the beginning. Author, Yunzhong Mu Shui. Chapter 679. But not long after, a guard rushed in a panic. Master, the whereabouts of the little prince have been found. Huh? Got it, Lu Yu stood up immediately. Maybe the action was too fast. Kingxia, who was helping Lu Yu press his head, didn't react. Lu Yu bumped into a gentle scene. The vision was filled with a pair of ah! This damn softness. Kingxia was also a little flustered, she didn't expect it to be like this. Are you okay? Lu Yu said without blushing. Kingxia shook her head quickly. Senior, I'm fine, how about you? The buffer is in place, of course I'm fine. When Lu Yu said this, Kingxia's face suddenly flushed. Of course, Lu Yu didn't say anything more. Business is important. Where are the people? Bring them to me. Master, we found the people, but there is a team of masters from the Dian dynasty who want to take the little prince away. Now the army is fighting a bloody battle. The guard said cautiously. When Lu Yu heard this, his brows immediately frowned. You dare to rob the people I want? Don't want to live. As he said, Lu Yu set off. Kingxia followed. Senior, the Dian dynasty is the first dynasty, you should be careful. Although she knew that Lu Yu's strength was very extraordinary, Kingxia still spoke. Lu Yu nodded after hearing this. Well, the first dynasty will soon have 2 words in front of it. What words? Countdown. Kingxia. With Kingxia, Lu Yu went all the way to the place the guard said. The entire Great Qian dynasty is very large, with a total of 36 counties, totaling tens of millions of miles. This size looks very large, but in fact, it is not even the area of the Earth. The combined area of the 5 dynasties would probably not be too shocking. Lu Yu's speed was even more terrifying. He had to stop from time to time to let Kingxia figure out the direction while he was rushing. While Lu Yu was on the road, he was millions of miles away. Tianjin County. At this moment, a bloody battle broke out here. On one side were tens of thousands of troops. On the other side were a dozen young men and women in white. Facing these dozen young men and women who could fly in the air, tens of thousands of troops were completely unable to match them, and it was almost a one-sided massacre. The army's offensive below could not reach these young men and women, but the magic they practiced could easily kill at least dozens of people at a time. At this moment, laughter was ringing. Are these troops from the Great Qian dynasty? It shouldn't be. The Great Qian dynasty has been destroyed. This should be the army of the new dynasty. It's ridiculous. The army of the new dynasty actually wants to take people from us. It's better to ask their majesty to come in person. These men and women laughed and didn't care how many people they killed. Ordinary people, no matter how many people died, the cultivators would not care. As for the Xian dynasty behind them, the Xian dynasty was originally supported by the 4 countries, not to mention that they were from the sect within the territory of the Dian dynasty. Would the Xian dynasty dare to hold them accountable? In this case, the dozen young men started fighting without any scruples. Below, although many soldiers were constantly killed, they did not retreat. If they retreated, they would definitely die if that person knew about it. It is better to fight to the death. If that person came by then, they would still have a way to survive. Even if they all died, according to the character of the immortal master, could these people still survive? At least someone could take revenge. But if they ran away and were caught, it would be a waste of life. Therefore, in this case, the army of more than 10,000 people became more and more courageous. In the distance between the two parties, a child who looked only 7 or 8 years old was looking at everything with panic. At this age, he can understand things and naturally know what the two groups of people want to do. They all wanted to take me away. Mother. The child was scared and went to a woman's arms. The woman also had a terrified expression. She was the little prince's nurse and had fled with him. But now she never expected that she would be discovered. Both parties wanted to kill the little prince. And at this moment, suddenly, a voice sounded beside her. Is that the little prince in your arms? Chapter 0514, One Man's Army, have you realized it? Is that the little prince? Lu Yu looked at the child in the woman's arms. When the woman saw Lu Yu suddenly appear, her eyes became more terrified and she subconsciously protected the child. Master, please don't kill us. Lu Yu. Do I look fierce? Kingxia, their safety is up to you, Lu Yu said. Kingxia nodded immediately. Don't worry, senior, I will protect them. Yes. Lu Yu nodded and looked forward. Because of Lu Yu's appearance, the whole place fell silent. The remaining tens of thousands of soldiers were instantly excited to the extreme. Meet the immortal master. The next moment, tens of thousands of people knelt down together. They looked at Lu Yu with extreme awe and joy. The immortal master is here as expected. These cultivators of the Dian dynasty are doomed. In the sky, more than a dozen young men and women all frowned. The leading young man looked at Lu Yu coldly. Friend, you'd better. Before he finished speaking, Lu Yu waved his hand in the air. Bang! The young man was instantly knocked to the ground, spitting blood. You are looking for death, we are monks of the Dian dynasty. The young man reacted immediately. The other party is not simple. But he was still fearless in his heart, and his eyes even became more angry. Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Yunzhong Mu Shui. Chapter 680. You will pay the price for hurting me. Looking at the young man who was chattering non-stop, Lu Yu felt like laughing. Isn't this, 2NC? You can't beat me, so you threaten me? You really think I don't kill people? Squinting his eyes, Lu Yu went straight to kill. One palm slapped down. Instantly, a big hand appeared in the air for no reason, and fell down. The young man had no time to run, and was directly covered. No. Before he finished speaking, the ground shook violently, and cracks appeared one after another. The big hand dissipated, leaving only a pool of meat mud. The rest of the people were stunned when they saw this scene. Big brother, died just like that? You. Some of them wanted to speak, but Lu Yu didn't waste time with them. He clenched his hands out of thin air, and the next moment, more than a dozen people were pinched in the palm of an invisible big hand. Lu Yu exerted a little force, and the next moment, the bodies of more than a dozen people instantly turned into blood mist. Only heads fell to the ground. Send a death soldier to send these heads to the Dian dynasty, Lu Yu ordered. The dynasty war, I have to take the initiative. The other 4 countries will participate at the same time and complete the task at one time. Hearing this, a general quickly arranged it. Turning back, Lu Yu looked at the woman and the child. Let's go back to the imperial city. This child is the new emperor of the great Qian dynasty. Lu Yu said, without much explanation. Half a day later. The great Qian imperial city. Looking at the timid child standing on the emperor's platform to accept the new emperor's enthronement ceremony, Lu Yu was somewhat relieved. The mission is done here, which is half completed. The next is the dynasty war. The other 4 countries can't have no reaction, right? Kingxia, you arrange people to spread the news that the great Qian dynasty has quelled the rebellion. The bigger the noise, the better. Yes, I know, senior. Although Kingxia didn't understand why Lu Yu did this, she still did it. The next thing is simple. As the new emperor, the young boy sat on the throne. Then there was a series of arrangements for the new dynasty. All the civil and military officials were randomly selected, and as for what to do, it was also arranged by Lu Yu. Next, the great Qian dynasty will experience a war. How many soldiers do we have? Lu Yu sat in a position higher than the emperor, looking down with bored eyes. A general knelt down. Reporting to the immortal master, the great Qian dynasty now has no soldiers. No soldiers? Lu Yu raised his eyebrows and thought about it. It seems so. Those he used before were all the soldiers of the rebels. The original great Qian dynasty should have all died in the battle. Immortal master, I think the rebels should be properly gathered. A general gave Lu Yu an idea. Hearing this, Lu Yu waved his hand. Forget it, it's troublesome. We still have to mobilize food and grass, and we don't need soldiers. When Lu Yu said this, all the civil and military officials were shocked. Although the great Qian dynasty put down the rebellion a little suddenly. But it's not to the point that they don't even need the army, right? However, Lu Yu's next words shocked others even more. Now listen to my orders, in the name of the great Qian dynasty, issue a declaration of war to the other 4 countries. Oh, by the way, is there a plane suitable for fighting there? Lu Yu suddenly thought of it and asked. The foreheads of the civil and military officials were already dripping with sweat. The new emperor has just been re-established, and you have to fight again? The key is that you don't even have an army and are not familiar with the terrain. This. However, considering Lu Yu's identity, a civil official still spoke up. Master, there is a plain to the north of my great Qian dynasty, which is suitable for war, but no need for just, very good. The place of the battle is set there. Now send someone to issue a declaration of war, and leave the court. After saying this, Lu Yu left leisurely, leaving only the civil and military officials with confused expressions in the court, and a young new emperor. Inexplicably, they felt, this immortal master didn't seem very reliable. Kingxia followed Lu Yu, her expression becoming more and more puzzled. Senior Lu Yu, what is he doing? He helped the great Qian dynasty to successfully quell the rebellion, and he certainly didn't want the great Qian dynasty to perish. But why, now he wants to challenge the other 4 countries? The key is, why don't you use the army? Senior, how do you fight without the army? Kingxia asked curiously. Lu Yu glanced at her and said lightly. A person with a strong heart can live as 1,000 troops alone. Have you realized it? Senior, I realized it, Kingxia said subconsciously. Lu Yu waved his hand. No, you didn't realize it. What does that mean, senior? Want to go by yourself? Lu Yu said. I'm not the Lord of Fire, how can I know so many things? Can't I just fool yourself and let you realize it yourself? However, thinking about it, Lu Yu suddenly felt something was wrong. Lord Yan, could it be that he has the same idea as me? No, Lord Yan, there is no need, right? Those who understand will understand, and those who don't understand will not understand. Lord Yan hinted so clearly at the time, so he must understand. Well, I worry too much. While Lu Yu was thinking secretly, he was far away from the great Qian dynasty. Dian, Dayo, Damon, and even the Yuan dynasty all received the declaration of war sent by Lu Yu. Almost at the same time, the 4 dynasties were furious. Among them, the Dian dynasty was the worst. How dare you? A cultivator actually attempted to rebuild the great Qian dynasty and challenge my 4 dynasties at the same time. And killed my disciples of the great Yan dynasty. In the Dian palace, a middle-aged man was extremely angry. At this time, A eunuch walked in. Your Majesty, the other 3 countries have agreed to send troops. That's the best. This time, as the great Qian dynasty wishes. Completely destroy it. Pass my order, send troops to the great Qian. Chapter 0515. It's great to make up for it, this immortal master has a problem.